Hello, I'm Eric Shafer. I am the pastor in residence for Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service, and this is Walking Through Lent Together. Each week on a Tuesday live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we're talking with interesting people from around the country on the themes of Lent and especially reflecting on the work of Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service. I'm so pleased today that our guest is Jill Marie Bussey, who is LIRS's Director of Public Policy. Welcome, Jill.
Hi, thank you for having me. I appreciate that you consider me interesting.
Well, I guess our viewers will determine that in the next few minutes. Jill Marie, I think it would help our viewers if you told them a little bit about what a Director of Public Policy does at LIRS.
Sure. So my name is Jill Marie Bussey, and I have been grateful to serve as the Director for Public Policy at Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service for the last 2 years. Prior to that, I was with the Catholic Legal Immigration Network, and I was in private practice as well. So I actually bring to my experience at LIRS the experience of actually providing services to immigrants as an immigration attorney with 25 years of experience in law and policy. I also bring to my work at LIRS a devout belief in the dignity of all human beings. And that's my grounding, I would say. And as I carry out my duties on a day-to-day basis, that's what that really grounds me and keeps me focused on executing our advocacy priorities for each year. I am just one of a team of 5 individuals. Actually, we have interns now, so it's 7 of us in the advocacy team. And I lead our administrative advocacy at LIRS, which means any policy that's coming from the White House, the executive branch of government, including respective agencies, including Department of State, Department of Homeland Security, Health and Human Services, etc. And then my colleague, Susanna Cunningham, leads our legislative advocacy, and we have lots of portfolios that we have policy positions that we further throughout the year.
Jill Marie, do you end up walking around the halls of Congress and knocking on doors? Is it that literal advocacy, or is it more through emails and phone calls and things like that?
No, I believe that our most effective advocacy is always when we are able to storytell, however that is conveyed. We don't see this as transactional work. We are in relationship with the individuals that we serve and our staff, our network teams. So we really see this as practice and devotion every day. Sometimes that means we are in Congress. I was just in a hearing last week, a very long hearing last week. A lot of the communications that we have these days with our policymakers and their staff are virtual, but we always try to, if we can, bring storytelling, bring individuals who are closest to the issues into those conversations. And so we really just see it as a relationship.
Okay. So you chose the theme solidarity when we're thinking of Lenten themes, and talk a little bit about the theme of solidarity in your work, and especially you've already grounded it in your faith too.
Yeah, I'm a practicing Lutheran, and I think a lot about the concept of solidarity. Many times I sign off my emails in solidarity. I believe that it's not just a feeling. In the Lenten time, solidarity is really important, right? As we join in the suffering that Jesus experienced. But I think for us in advocacy, as we see this, it's not just a feeling, it's to be lived and to be demonstrated in our actual actions every single day. And so that's part of the work that I like the most about LIRS, is when I can me and my team can provide resources and tools for folks to put their faith in action. So, for example, you may have heard of this new policy that the Biden administration is trying to roll out. It's called, in the headlines, you'll see it referred to as the asylum ban. Effectively, it would shut down asylum for most people at the southern border if they transited through another country or between ports of entry, which we believe circumvents the current law, but also our values as a nation. And so LIRS, just unequivocally, we affirm the legal right of people to seek asylum in the United States, regardless of how they entered. We feel very strongly that the law provides this protection, and we are now able to provide resources to our constituents, to our network partners, that help them explain what it's a 100-page rule that's really hard and technical to get through, but we've tried to make the concepts around the policy understandable to folks so that they can evaluate it for themselves and decide whether they want to weigh in. And so we've provided an explainer, if you will, a blog about that. And then we've also created an action alert that allows people to submit a comment directly to the government in opposition to this proposal. And so again, one of the best things that I like about my job, not that we have this proposal because it's draconian, but that we can engage people of faith, people of good conscience to join in our work and to stand in solidarity with migrants who are in need of protection. So we have an action alert. I hope that we can share that with the listeners today, that people can join and help us in urging the Biden administration to walk back that proposal. And those are actually time sensitive. So if you're listening to this today, please do that by March 27th.
Right, and let's just make it clear, this is not a decision, this is a proposal. So it's very important to give opinion on this proposal, right, Marie?
Yes, and we really need people to weigh in with their own voice. And so we've provided tools that help provide faith and values-based messaging to the Biden administration. If we just hit click, and everything looks the same to the government, they're going to count every message that looks the same as just one comment. But if people add their own stories, including what protection means to them, what their faith values are, maybe they themselves are from a family of immigrants or asylum seekers who have benefited from protection or in the process. So or serve on the front lines every day for folks who are newly arrived to the United States. We really need people to share their own stories, make it their own, and make it urgent, because we really do need everyone to weigh in before the 27th, which is the deadline.
Way to do that is to go to lirs.org and to go to the advocacy tab, correct?
Yes, you'll find the action alert there.
Okay, so for you folks viewing, it's a very easy website to remember, lirs.org. There are a bunch of tabs, and to get your opinion heard on this proposal, on this issue, you go to the advocacy tab and just follow the tabs to get the information so you can respond. Jo Marie, if there's that's a huge pressing issue at this moment. Is there another issue that weighs on your heart today?
Yes, I mentioned the congressional hearing that I was a part of last week. I bore witness to over 6 hours of testimony regarding the United States withdrawal from Afghanistan. And while many Afghans came through the evacuation, I believe over 77,000 Afghans came to the United States through the evacuation. They came on a temporary protection called parole. And because they came through the evacuation, most came through in 2021, and the parole period is only 2 years, many will be facing the loss of their parole imminently as early as this summer. And so we are advocating that the administration extend the temporary protection of parole while also, so that's my job, right, is to go to the White House and the administration and say, please extend parole for Afghans who have arrived and still are getting their footing here. And then my colleagues are urging members of Congress to pass what's called the Afghan Adjustment Act. And that would provide a streamlined and efficient process for Afghans who arrive through the evacuation to seek lawful permanent residency. Because that temporary parole is just that, it's temporary. It doesn't offer a pathway to lawful permanent residency. We need the law to change in order to allow people to access a green card, if you will. And so my colleagues at LIRS have been leaders in a coalition called the Evacuate Our Allies Coalition. And they were very successful last year in working with leaders in Congress on a bipartisan, bicameral bill that was very well supported. It was introduced in August, I believe, of last year, and it just didn't make it through what is a very complex process at the end of the year on what bills are attached to funding and spending bills. But we do think that we're gearing up for the reintroduction of the Afghan Adjustment Act in the next couple of weeks. And so we're asking everyone again to pray with their feet, take action, urge their members of Congress to support the Afghan Adjustment Act.
That's great. And, you know, I speak on this often too, Marie, when I'm out and about for LIRS. But, you know, whenever you tell people, well, look, they really can't go back. There's nothing to go back to. Everybody understands that. Everybody understands that. We'll need a Ukrainian Adjustment Act ultimately too, won't we? As for the first, because they came in under similar circumstances.
Yes, this administration has used humanitarian parole to protect a lot of populations that were in imminent harm and needed protection. So Afghans were the first large group of individuals to benefit from parole as they were evacuated from Afghanistan as the democratically elected government fell. But also the administration has used the parole authority, humanitarian protection, to protect Ukrainians who are fleeing Russian violence in their country, the war in their country. And so the administration actually created a new pathway or a new parole program called the Uniting for Ukraine parole program. And that allows a US tie, someone here already, to sponsor a Ukrainian in need for parole, for this temporary protection. There is a financial requirement. You have to prove that you can support this Ukrainian and their family, but it has offered protection for over 100,000 Ukrainians. And so it is, though, just a temporary protection. And for Ukrainians who will want to stay here, they will have to do what Afghans are doing, try to navigate this very complex asylum system. And as we know, the backlogs for affirmative asylum, that's the application you file once you are here temporarily in the United States, that backlog can be 4 to 5, even more years. And that's just not tenable. And most of the time the temporary protection has run out. So yeah, if folks would like to stay here longer, they want a direct path to green card, then there would have to be legislation to provide that protection pathway.
Well, Marie, we could talk for most of the afternoon because we only touched our toe into 2 of the many, many issues that LIRS is dealing with in relation to the government and society. But do you have some closing thoughts you'd like to share with our viewers today?
Yes, I do. Thank you. So one thing I would like to say is this is what we're working on right now. But I want to ask you to save the date for June 20th, because LIRS will be having yet again our flagship event, World Refugee Day Advocacy Days, where LIRS staff, our network, constituents can join in and in our efforts, urging members of Congress to ensure that our refugee program and protection mechanisms are just and generous. And so I really hope that you'll look out for our save the date announcements, and you'll be able to join in as you can. Eric, we'd love to have you here. It will be virtual and in person this year, so we're excited. The Lord's given us a healthier environment to actually go into members of Congress offices and meet with them. So we will be having regional partners to do the in-person event. So please save the date for that. I also ask if you're interested in our advocacy to please sign up for our weekly newsletter. You'll find our action alerts there. And these are the ones that we are most pressing, most urgent. For example, we just released an action alert to call on the administration to provide robust protection for those who are experiencing a protection need because of the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. So we're working on many fronts, and the best way to stay tuned in, plugged into our advocacy, is to sign up for our newsletter. And I think the last thing that I would ask of this community is to please pray for us. We are working hard every day, bringing our hearts to our work. Many of us in the advocacy team and many of the staff at LIRS see our jobs as really a vocation and a practice of devotion, and we ask that you pray for us and the clients that we serve, the people that we seek to protect every single day.
Thank you, Jill Marie. Yes, and just to affirm what Jill Marie just said, go to LIRS's website, look at the advocacy tab, sign up for the newsletter, and there are also suggestions for prayers on that website too. So there's loads of resources, but the best way to keep up, my friends, is to sign up for our newsletter, and then you'll get reminders about June 20th and all the special dates and issues before the country and our church. This has been Walking Through Lent Together, a production of Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service. Our guest today has been Jill Marie Bussey, the LIRS Director for Public Policy. We have 2 more weeks going. Next Tuesday at 2 o'clock, we're going to be talking to Matur Alier, who is a former lost boy of Sudan and a member of our board at LIRS. That's going to be quite a story, I think. So you'll want to join us next Tuesday, 2 p.m. at Eastern Time, or anytime if you sign up after that to look at it online. Thank you for joining us. Have a blessed Lent.